This is a report on IP protection on well-known or famous marks. Famous marks are those that enjoy a high degree of consumer recognition in a particular jurisdiction or in a specific field of commerce or industry. An example of a famous trademark is Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Well-known marks are protected through the implementation of the Paris Convention for the Protection of Industrial Property as amended. Well-known marks are also protected under the TRIPS agreement, particularly under Article 16 thereof, and is considered to improve on the Paris Convention. The Paris Convention places its member states under an obligation to reject or cancel the registration or prohibit the use of trademarks, which are confusingly similar to a well-known mark. This protection only exists for trademarks relating to products and not to services. However, countries belonging to the Paris Convention are not prevented from extending the protection to services. The provision in the Paris Convention is considered to be extremely insufficient, and since 1995, WIPO has been advocating the creation of a separate treaty for the protection of well-known and famous trademarks. Under the TRIPS agreement, well-known trademarks are to be protected for services as well as products. An account must be taken of the knowledge of the relevant sector of the public. For example, the mark needs to be famous in relation to the goods and services where its use is likely to cause confusion. With the introduction of Section 60 and 120, Subsection 3 into the Australian Trademarks Act 1995 has enabled the protection of trademarks with a suitable reputation in Australia without the need for registration, even in respect of completely unrelated goods and/or services. A company with various trademarks, each comprising the word virgin, has become very famous and known in Australia. Sometime later, a company registered in Victoria and the New South Wales with a business name Virgin Car Rentals. In this case, the court held that the respondent has engaged in conduct in trade or commerce that is misleading or deceptive or likely to mislead or deceive the public. Reputation is the recognition of the trademark by the public generally, or in the case of goods within a specialized market, those markets which must be considered. This must be demonstrated through a variety of means including advertisements in television or radio or in magazines and newspapers within the jurisdiction. It can generally be inferred from a high volume of sales together with substantial advertising expenditures and other promotions, without any direct evidence of consumer appreciation of the mark, or where the recognition of the mark is so great it can even be established despite no actual sales having occurred in Australia. Whether a reputation can actually be established is a question of fact and subject of the individual perceptions of the registrar or the court. Trademark applications can be removed from the register for non-use in the 3-month opposition period following advertisement of acceptance in the official journal, or under an application for removal. Therefore, in Australia, while there are provisions allowing for greater protection of famous marks, owners of famous marks are still required to remain alert and on top of changes in the industry. Even registered marks are subject to removal where failure to identify and stop infringing use will, in itself, leave the registration vulnerable for removal if the infringing conduct results in a conflicting reputation. Finally, famous marks in Australia can be protected under a common law action of passing off, even where the mark is not registered or the use is not in respect of the same or similar goods or services. The elements of passing off are confined to the following. 1. A business reputation associated exclusively with the mark in question. A misrepresentation by the defendant that would suggest an association between itself and the owner of the famous mark. And as a consequence of the misrepresentation, damage or the possibility of damage to the owner of the famous mark's reputation having occurred.